Tonight on Y News, Malacañang expresses concern over the influx of undocumented Chinese national in the country. The government says top tourist destination El Nido, Palawan to remain open to visitors amid its rehabilitation. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority conducts clearing operations in Pateros and Pasig City. And Wish 1075 celebrates its 5th anniversary with month-long live OPM performances and surprises. Good evening. Malacañang agrees with the National Security Advisor's pronouncement that the increasing number of undocumented Chinese nationals in the country is alarming. Meanwhile, Senator Lacson believes the swarming of over 100 Chinese vessels around Pag-asa Island has security implications. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
Malacañang has expressed worry over the rising number of undocumented Chinese nationals in the Philippines. This after National Security Advisor Secretary Hermogenes Esperon stated that the influx of Chinese tourists in the country can be considered a security risk.
I was worried kasi nga masyadong maraming may influx na magtataka ka, bakit nakakapasok sila?
Even Senator Lacson agrees with Secretary Esperon. The lawmakers cited the tourists caught in Palawan taking pictures of the Philippine Naval Base. According to presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo, it's the Bureau of Immigration's job to strictly monitor the illegal entry of foreigners in the country.
So hindi lamang yung worry ng number, ang worry mo pa kung paano sila nakakapasok. Binabantayan ba natin to? Hindi.
Meanwhile, Senator Lacson also insists the swarming of over 100 Chinese vessels around Pag-asa Island has security implications.
This is part of that cabbage strategy that was announced and launched in 2014. Mismong military general na yung nagsabi na ang i-apply namin dyan sa South China Sea, cabbage strategy, meaning i-wrap mo layer by layer hanggang sa magutom, mauhaw yung naka-station para pag-alis niyan at ihaharas mo para pag-alis hindi na babalik. So remember yung Pag-asa Island, yan yung meron tayo mga Marines, hindi ba? So bakit nila iniikutan ng mga 100, and I suppose hindi lang fishing or commercial vessels yon, kundi mga militia yon.
Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
The clearing operations team composed of the MMDA, Pasig City, and Pateros officials and personnel today dismantled illegal structures situated on sidewalks. Joanna tells us why.
Vendors whose stalls and stores have parts extending up to the sidewalks could not do anything but follow authorities. Earlier today, the mayors of Pasig City and Pateros and Metro Manila Development Authority or MMDA officials and personnel conducted clearing operations. In Pasig City, even a security outpost was not spared. Mayor Vico Soto led the dismantling of the structure seated in the corner of Concepcion Avenue and Hobson Street in the boundary of Pasig City and Pateros.
City dati na illegal, nakaharang sa daan yung mga barangay outpost natin, yung mga outpost ng enforcers na nakaharang sa daan. Dito po tayo nagsisimula. Paano natin sasabihin sa mga kababayan natin na huwag kayong humarang sa daan kung ang government mismo ay gumagawa nun?
The clearing team also removed a fast food chain signage situated on an island on a public road. Authorities also discovered an illegal terminal of Colorum UV Express vans operating in the parking lot of a fast food chain also on Concepcion Avenue. No UV Express van arrived here today, but only a long queue of waiting passengers.
Kawawa naman sila sa sinasasakay ngayon. Wala akong ihipo kayo dito dahil natatakot, puro Colorum yun.
Passengers appeal, however, that the government must give some time before completely enforcing their policy.
Sana kung tatanggalin or parang give a specific period or duration bago talaga totally i-disperse yung mga terminal.
The local officials and the MMDA urged the public to support the government in their efforts to comply with President Rodrigo Duterte's directive to clear public roads of obstructions.
Ang apil ako sa aking mga kababayan, wag na nating hintayin ang clearing team ng Pateros o clearing team ng MMDA o ng DILG. Magkusa na po tayo. I-maintain natin na palaging malinis ang ating mga kalsada.
Sabi ko nga, third day pa lang ito, makikita naman ninyo yung pagkakaiba nung mga lansangan na ito before, a few days ago at ngayon. At yun na lang, i-maintain ito through the efforts of our barangay kapitan.
John Ano, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
The 6-month rehabilitation last year was not enough to clean up tourist sites in El Nido, Palawan. Some of the beaches there remain polluted and not swimmable. With this, the government decides to continue the rehabilitation efforts in one of the top tourist destinations in the country. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Unlike Boracay, El Nido, Palawan will not be closed for commercial operations amid further rehabilitation. The rehabilitation will be a joint effort of the Departments of Tourism, Environment and Natural Resources, and the Interior and Local Government. Beginning August 4, an interagency task force will conduct a 20-day inspection and investigation in El Nido town. They will check establishments without permits and those that have violated environmental laws. If found to be below the government's standards, establishments will eventually be closed. DILG Secretary Eduardo Año says it is now impossible to clear the 20-meter easement zone from any structures, so the solution is to limit the use of the area.
And what we want to promote are the islands of El Nido. Doon dapat pumunta yung mga tourists. Yung sa sentro, it's more on commercial and lodging accommodation for the tourists.
Some parts of Bakwit Bay will be temporarily closed due to water pollution. These include Korong-Korong Outfall, El Nido Estero Outfall, Masagana Outfall, and Kabugao Outfall. Such water contamination is attributed to the presence of informal settler families, non-enforcement of easement regulations on outfalls, and regulated dry docking and mooring activities.
Ang Korong-Korong outfall, ang fecal coliform is now at 99,315. Ang normal is 100. So maiintindihan naman nila siguro kung bakit bawal mag-swimming.
DENR Secretary Roy Simatu said the government's action is to avoid the further degradation of El Nido.
And in fact, we will continue to stop this because we cannot allow na mag-deteriorate or itong El Nido into another Boracay.
Based on the DOST's data, around 200,000 tourists visit El Nido every year. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
A hospital in Zamboanga City gives recognition to Members Church of God International for the group's support to blood drives. Dante Amento explains why.
The Zamboanga City Medical Center needs practically 70 bags or units of blood every day. More blood donors are necessary, especially now with the ballooning number of dengue cases across the country. With this, the hospital continues to encourage Filipinos to donate blood for the welfare of patients who are in need. And because of this continuous support of various individuals and organizations to the hospital's blood donation campaign, the Zamboanga City Medical Center has accorded Members Church of God International for the group's relentless participation in blood drives.
Dapat gayahin natin yung grupo ni Brother Eli. Dapat ganyan ang mga organization natin. Kasi kung isa-isa lang, kunti lang yan. Dapat may group talaga nag-advocate ng blood donation, voluntary.
Since 2015, MCGI in Zamboanga City has donated some 800 units of blood to the hospital's blood bank, including 138 bags in 2018 and 91 from January to July this year. 4 MCGI volunteers also receive a Galliner Award for their involvement in voluntary mass bloodletting. The group vows to continue their support to the hospital's blood donation campaign.
Kahit wala naman itong mga ganitong mga parangal, di naman titigil ang grupong ang dating daan sa pangunguna ni Brother Eli Soriano at ni Brother Daniel Rason para makapag-extend ng tulong sa ating mga kapwa-tao.
Dante Amento, UNTV News and Rescue, Zamboanga City.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up to where Angelo Castro III left off. I am Alex Baltazar, and here are the headlines. President Duterte to name less than 10 officials allegedly behind the so-called massive corruption in the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office. Senator Lacson claims Health Secretary Francisco Duque III is trying to meet with his allies in Congress as he faces allegations of conflict of interest. Mayor Isko Moreno gives Manila anti-drug forces 1 week to rid Baseco compound of illegal drugs and loose firearms. The 2-month-long voter registration for the 2020 Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections kicks off today. And Wish 1075 celebrates its 5th anniversary with month-long live OPM performances and surprises. A lawmaker calls on the officials of the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office to voluntarily take a leave amid the probe on the alleged corruption in the agency. Here's Grace Casen to tell us why.
Recoboda Party List Representative Godofredo Guya is in favor of publicizing the names of PCSO officials who are involved in the alleged corruption in the agency. The lawmaker said this is to avoid influencing the investigation being done by Malacañang and other government agencies. The party list representative also calls on the PCSO officials to voluntarily take a leave.
We should ask them that they have to voluntary mag-leave muna siya kung ayaw nila mag-alis, di ba? Kasi nakakahiya sa taong bayan.
In the lower chamber of Congress, there are already 2 resolutions filed calling in aid of legislation to conduct an investigation on the alleged PCSO corruption, while the House Committee on Games and Amusement is preparing to start the House probe soon. They will be inviting former and current PCSO officials.
Magkakaroon po kami ng pagpupulong para nga talaga bilisan kaagad yung pagpapatawag ng congressional inquiry para magkaroon po rin ng investigasyon ang Kongreso para po dito sa massive corruption sa PCSO.
The PCSO officials on their part have already said they are ready to cooperate in any investigation. Grace Casen, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
President Rodrigo Duterte will be naming around 10 Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office or PCSO officials allegedly involved in corruption, Malacañang said Thursday. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said Duterte mentioned this during his speech at the 70th National Intelligence Coordinating Agency anniversary in Quezon City on Wednesday. Panelo echoed the statement of Duterte's longtime aide and now Senator Christopher Go. Currently, the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission is conducting a lifestyle check on PCSO executives, including the former General Manager Alexander Balutan. Former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre denies his alleged link to Grand Lucky 6 operations. Aguirre says he was never a part of illegal gambling operations in the country. Mai Bermudez will tell us why.
In his Manila Times column, Special Envoy to China Ramon Tulfo blasts several retired members of the military as well as former Justice Chief Vitaliano Aguirre II over their alleged connection to small-town lottery or STL operations. Tulfo says Aguirre was granted an STL franchise in Camarines Norte and Albay and operates Lucky V or Lucky 6.
Lucky V, Vitaliano yan, BI. Kapatid niya, yung engineer na kapatid niya ang nagpapatakbo.
But former DOJ Secretary Aguirre denied this, saying he was never a part of any gambling operations.
Ang akala kasi niyan Tulfong yan ay ako'y nagpapa-appoint para makabalik sa gobyerno. Kaya sinisiran niya ako para hindi gumanda ang paningin sa akin ni Pangulong Duterte. Kaya yan ang motivation niya para hindi ako makabalik.
Aguirre explains that based on information he received, a certain Donato Umali who owns a furniture shop runs Lucky 5 in Lucena, Quezon.
Unang-una, yung kapatid ko ay hindi naman nabigyan ng franchise. Kahit anong franchise at makikita yan sa mga documents na sinubmit itong Lucky 6. At saka hindi Lucky 6 yan eh. Alam mo, Tulfo, mahilig mag-imagine yan eh. Yung mga Lucky 5 yun.
This is not the first time that Aguirre was linked to the numbers game operations in the country. In 2017, virtual gaming highlight operator and owner of Meridian Vista Gaming Corporation, Charlie Atong Ang, accused the former official of running STLs in Laguna, Batangas, and Bicol. The former Justice Chief denied the accusations then and directed the National Bureau of Investigation to probe on Ang's allegations instead. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Parañaque City.
Senator Lacson advises Health Secretary Francisco Duque III to just explain to the public on the allegations he is facing, including the issue on conflict of interest. Nel Maribuhok details why.
Senator Lacson is open to a dialogue with Secretary Francisco Duque III on accusations the health chief is facing, including the alleged conflict of interest. It can be noted that Senator Lacson in his recent privileged speech in Senate revealed information he has against Secretary Duque. The health chief has expressed readiness to talk with Senator Lacson over the matter, but the lawmaker said it is better to explain to the public.
At the end of the day, it is between him and God. It is between him and his conscience. It is between him and the public.
The senator added Secretary Duque is apparently asking for help from several congressmen.
Ang information ko, nakikiusap siya sa mga kaalyado ng dating Pangulong Arroyo na magkaroon ng pagpupulong sa mga kongresista. Kung bakit, hindi ko alam.
The Solon is hopeful the Health Secretary will be present at the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing next week. Senator Lacson further reveals there are serious problems in the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation or PhilHealth that should be resolved.
So it seems na meron talagang mafia-like group inside PhilHealth na nagmamanipula ng pondo.
The senator clarifies that his expose about PhilHealth and the DOH secretary is just an outcome of President Rodrigo Duterte's challenge to fight corruption, which the chief executive emphasized in his fourth State of the Nation address. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Health Secretary Francisco Duque III admitted on Thursday that he had a meeting with several congressmen, but was quick to clarify that the meeting was just to discuss the alarming dengue epidemics now affecting several regions in the country and not about the allegations that he is facing. 1 week. That's all the time Manila Mayor Isko Moreno gives the Manila Police District and the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency to clear the Baseco area of illegal drugs. April Sinadoza details why.
Manila Mayor Isko Moreno on Thursday convened the members of the Manila Anti-Drug Abuse Council to tackle the war on drugs in the city. Interior and Local Government Undersecretary for Barangay Affairs, Martin Dino, was also invited in the meeting. The local chief executive gave 1 week to the Manila Police District and Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency to clear Baseco area of illegal drugs. Moreno emphasized drug suspects must be imprisoned and authorities must confiscate all loose firearms.
All those enforcement agency, pag inyo na-clear ng drugs ang Baseco, then there is no business for you to come here in the next council meeting. I'm giving you 1 week.
Based on PDEA's data, of the 807 drug-affected barangays in Manila City, only 89 are drug-cleared. There is a total of 896 barangays in the city. If authorities fail to meet the 1 week deadline, the mayor says they will extend for another day, but operations will not stop. Undersecretary Dino meanwhile says disobedient barangay officials will face sanctions, such as removal from post.
Nag-clearing na sa inyong kanya-kanyang barangay. Pag yan ay binalikan at bumalik yung mga kinleared ng ating city mayor, ng ating mga kapulisan, pasensyahan tayo. Yan ay yung tinatawag na sanction sa inyo.
April Sinadoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Commission on Elections opens the voter registration today until September 30. Aiko Miguel explains why.
COMELEC continues to prepare for the 2020 barangay and SK polls. The 2-month voter registration began today. COMELEC Director James Jimenez said the voter registration schedule will push through, even though President Rodrigo Duterte wants the barangay and SK polls in 2020 postponed to year 2022.
Obviously, hindi kami pwedeng mag-stop ng preparations natin, pero always in the back of our minds, we're proofing our procedures so that in case lumabas yung postponement, everything slows down a little bit until we finally get that law passed and signed by the President.
COMELEC offices are open from 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon, Mondays to Saturdays. The Commission expects 2 million new voters to register. First-time voters are required to present their birth certificate. COMELEC says voters who registered for the last SK elections who will turn 18 years old during the polling period will automatically have their names transferred to the regular voters list. The poll body also reminds voters who failed to participate in the polls twice to have their voting status reactivated.
Just to clarify, pag na-deactivate ka, hindi ibig sabihin tanggal ka sa listahan. Iba yun. Ibig sabihin lang, nasa listahan ka, pero yung status mo, inactive. No?
The Commission also calls on the relatives of the deceased to bring their loved one's death certificate to the COMELEC office to have their names removed from the voters list. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
From the opening ceremonies of the Olympics to various celebrations, drone light shows are becoming popular. Can drones replace fireworks displays? Find out as Mon Hokson reports.
Did you know that a minute of fireworks display costs $500 to $1,000? The most expensive one is the fireworks display during the 37th National Day celebration in the United Arab Emirates, which cost $20 million. It lasted for 55 minutes. But recently, it seems that drones have taken over and replaced fireworks displays. This is called the Drone Light Show. At the Pyeongchang 2018 Olympics in Korea, 1,200 drones took flight for the opening ceremony. In 2018, a drone light show was one of the highlights of the Consumer Electronics Show, or CES, in Las Vegas, Nevada. Also last year, 1,374 illuminated dancing drones have achieved the Guinness World Record for the most unmanned aerial vehicles in simultaneous flight in a stunning display in Xi'an, China. But that record was broken when Intel flew 2018 Shooting Star drones over its Folsom, California facility when the tech firm celebrated its 50th anniversary in July last year. While millions of dollars are spent for traditional fireworks display, a single drone light show that uses 100 drones costs $13,000, or equivalent to 650,000 pesos. And a 500 drone light show costs $55,000 or more than 2 million pesos. And this depends if a custom drone formation will be performed, such as a company logo or a word or more. The question is, can drones replace fireworks to entertain people and steal the scene during night festivities? Technology and innovation have come a long way. Old conventional things and customs are being replaced by modern and cost-effective ideas. All we need to do is accept the change and the difference it can make in our lives. Mon Hokson, UNTV, News and Rescue.
Wish 1075 celebrates its 5th year in the industry. The FM station will bring month-long live performances and surprises all throughout August. Mirasola Bugadil has the details.
The Wish Month is finally here, as Wish 1075 celebrates its 5 years of reaching milestones and breaking boundaries. The FM station brings live performances from top-notch OPM acts throughout this month. The feast of live music kicks off today with 3 Wish programs: The Wish List, The Roadshow, and The Whispers of Love, airing live back-to-back live performances from noon until 11 tonight. The Wish Bus will also roll across Metro Manila during the Roadshow's time slot to bring more entertainment and music. Wish FM will also give back to avid wishers by giving away exclusive merchandise items like shirts, jackets, and stickers. To cap off the celebration, Wish FM will hold a culminating concert on August 25 at the Aleo Theater. Named the 365 Anniversary Concert, the role of OPM artist will include KZ Tandingan, Ben and Ben, Four of Spades, December Avenue, Darren Espanto, The Wishfuls, and Rhea Basco. 365 represents the station's recent milestones, launching 3 buses, hitting 6 million YouTube channel subscribers, and reaching 5 years of bringing not only music but also good works. And speaking of good works, Wish 1075 will also donate a total of 500,000 pesos to chosen charitable institutions.
Whispering wish. 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 Wish 1075.
Mirasol Abgadil, UNTV, News and Rescue.
Thank you so much, everyone.
And to complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. The country has lost numerous lives and landmarks because of destructive earthquakes. With this, a structural engineer sees the need to earthquake-proof buildings and structures, especially in Metro Manila, with the anticipated magnitude 8 or greater earthquake called the Big One. Arlene Delgado is here to tell us why.
With the recent moderate earthquakes experienced in Itbayat, Batanes, where edifices collapsed, upgrading and strengthening structures is important, says an expert. According to engineer Ruel Ramirez, as damages during earthquakes are unavoidable. What the government can do now is to make buildings earthquake-proof or resilient, especially with the projected The Big One. Ramirez believes it is more practical to spend in upgrading structures than just conducting earthquake drills.
We're preparing for the big one. Kaya lang, nakakalungkot. Ito na sa Makati ka, saan ka tatakbo? So para sa akin, for life safety, kailangan pag-aralan na kung paano maging earthquake-proof lahat ng building.
Buildings compliant with the National Building Code should be able to withstand major earthquakes up to magnitude 8.4 without collapsing. At the event of an earthquake, according to Ramirez, one of the things to look for is the crack on the beam of the building. If there is a vertical or horizontal crack only on the wall, it is still safe, as you have more time to evacuate the building. But once there is a diagonal crack on the beams, one should hurry, because this means the building is about to collapse.
There will be no warning that let's say the beam or the column will just slide immediately.
Meanwhile, the United Architects of the Philippines stresses that the government needs to work now with different institutions to solidify their plan for the looming big quake in Metro Manila. The group also emphasized the importance of securing architectural permits before proceeding to constructions and ensuring that only legitimate professionals are involved in the planning process.
So void ang building permit pag walang architectural permit. So ibig sabihin yan, there is an exclusivity bawat profession. And adopt every profession may kanya-kanyang expertise na makakatulong hindi lang sa bawat profession kung hindi yung public mismo.
Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte has signed into law Republic Act number 11357, or the law that grants 25-year franchise to Solar para sa Bayan Corporation or SDP. This aims to install, establish, operate, and maintain distributed energy resources to remote, unserved, and underserved provinces through renewable energy technology. This includes the barangays, municipalities, and cities in the provinces of Aklan, Aurora, Bohol, Cagayan, Camiguin, Capiz, Compostela Valley, Davao Oriental, Guimaras, Isabela, Masbate, Misamis Occidental, Occidental Mindoro, Oriental Mindoro, and many more. The firm is owned by the 25-year-old son of Antique Representative Loren Legarda, Leandro Leviste. In other news, thousands of plastic bags were pulled from the sea off Greece's Andros Island this month by a team of divers and environmentalists who described what they found as a gulf full of plastic corals. Kath Tumaraos explains why.
Like colorful corals, they swayed in the underwater current. Only these were not natural reefs built up over centuries, but plastic bags stuck to the golden Aegean seabed. Thousands of plastic bags were pulled from the sea off Greece's Andros Island this month by a team of divers and environmentalists who describe what they found as a gulf full of plastic corals.
If you can imagine like the paradise of like the Caribbean seas where you find coral reefs everywhere of every color, it was the exact same thing, but instead of corals it was bags. It was different colored bags waving around in the sea, and it was a very scary thing to see. It really shook me, and I think it shook everyone who saw it.
Aegean rebreathed divers plucked dozens of kilograms of blue, black, and yellow plastic bags tangled between reefs, swaying among fish, as well as other plastic waste. The team also removed 300 kilograms of discarded fishing nets from Andros and Salamina Island. Ross said they only managed to clean up a fraction of the plastic waste they found.
Even if we were 60 people there for 5 days, we wouldn't have managed to gather all the rubbish that we found.
The sea pollution off Andros is thought to date back to 2011, when heavy rain caused an informal waste disposal site to collapse, with most of the materials tumbling into the sea. The World Wildlife Fund said in a report in June that Greece produces about 700,000 tons of plastic waste a year, or about 68 kilos per person. About 11,500 tons end up in its seas every year, and almost 70% of that returns to its coastline.
The thing with microplastics is they work as magnets, and they hold on to chemicals and hormones which they find in the water, and that goes into the food chain, and it's in the fish that we eat, and it's everywhere around us, and it's toxic to us.
Seas polluted with plastic have become one of the most shocking symbols worldwide of mankind's damage to the planet. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
And for the news abroad, here's Kath Dumaraos reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. Kath, good evening.
Good evening, William. Hamza bin Laden, the son of Al-Qaeda founder Osama bin Laden, died in an airstrike, U.S. media outlets reported, citing intelligence officials. The place or date of death were unclear. The Pentagon did not comment. Bin Laden, thought to be aged about 30, had released audio and video messages calling for attacks on the U.S. and other countries. As recently as February, the U.S. government offered $1 million for information leading to his capture. The U.S. Department of the Treasury has imposed sanctions against Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif. The sanctions freeze any assets Zarif may have in America, the department said. Zarif tweeted the U.S. had imposed sanctions on him because it considered him as a threat to its agenda. Tensions between the U.S. and Iran have heightened since the U.S. last year withdrew from the 2015 nuclear deal that aimed to curb Iranian nuclear activities. A second case of Ebola has been detected in the Congolese city of Goma, 1 year since an outbreak in the country's North Kivu province. Ferdy Petalio will tell us why.
The latest case of Ebola in Goma was detected on Tuesday. Increasing concern, the virus could establish a foothold in the densely populated area close to the Rwandan border. Goma's first Ebola case was detected in mid-July, prompting the World Health Organization, or WHO, to warn that the spread of the disease could accelerate.
The identification of the case in Goma could potentially be a game changer in this epidemic. Goma is a city of 2 million people near the border with Rwanda and is a gateway to the region and the world. We're confident in the measures we're put in place and hope that we will see no further transmission of Ebola in Goma.
The epidemic has killed more than 1,700 people since it was declared almost a year ago, becoming the second worst outbreak on record. Goma has been preparing for Ebola to arrive in the city for a year, setting up hand washing stations and making sure moto taxi drivers do not share helmets. The outbreak in the wider region of North Kivu in eastern Congo was announced on August 1st, 2018. In December, Congolese voters in the eastern city of Beni cast symbolic ballot papers in the presidential election after voting was cancelled in the area because of the Ebola outbreak. Ferdy Petalio, UNTV News and Rescue.
Canadian authorities announced that they will begin scaling back efforts to locate 2 teenage murder suspects believed to be hiding in a remote region of northern Manitoba. Meanwhile, Ryanair has 500 more pilots and 400 more cabin crew than needed, and job losses will be announced in the coming weeks. Jovic Burmas explains why.
Ryanair boss Michael O'Leary has warned staff to prepare for job cuts in the coming weeks, saying the airline has 900 too many pilots and cabin crew. In a video message to workers, he said redundancies would be announced by the end of August, although he did not put an exact number on the losses. He blamed planned cuts to flights next summer due to the grounding of its Boeing 737 MAX fleet. He also cited falling profits, higher oil prices, and Brexit uncertainty. In Italy, the European Union ended a standoff with Italy over African immigration on Wednesday, agreeing to take 116 asylum seekers who were rescued at sea last week but denied permission to go ashore by the country's right-wing interior minister. The migrants were finally allowed to disembark in the Sicilian port of Agosta on Wednesday afternoon. The EU said that Germany, France, Portugal, Luxembourg, and Ireland had agreed to take the asylum seekers, meeting a condition set by Interior Minister Matteo Salvini for allowing the group to come ashore.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Kath Dumaraos, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. Reprocessors in San Diego have impounded thousands of electric scooters. They have been left scattered about the city, endangering pedestrians and sparking a battle with companies that have flooded cities with the two-wheelers. Judith Ann Nafuente reports why.
John Heinkel, 55, and Dan Borelli, 43, operate a small outfit called Scoot Scoop. They use a flatbed truck to tow away scooters they say have been left improperly around hotels or other private property.
Because at the end of their ride, they don't know where to put it. They don't think there's a rule where they should park it, so they put it in the most convenient place for them and not for everyone else. And that's where we come into play.
In just over a year of operations, they have impounded more than 12,500 electric scooters. Cities in the United States and Europe have struggled with how to regulate the scooters, amid complaints from some residents and businesses that they clutter sidewalks when parked and endanger pedestrians when driven. Most of the scooters the firm has impounded in San Diego are from Bird and Lime, but those companies are refusing to pay to retrieve their vehicles and are fighting Scoot Scoop in court through their lawsuits. Scoot Scoop claims the right to impound scooters under California law when they are improperly parked on private property, and it invoices the scooter companies at least $50 per vehicle to return them, Borelli said. Scoot Scoop plans to auction off some scooters if it doesn't get paid.
We don't want to turn it into a war. We want to see coexistence. We want to see the scooters survive. We want to see people out there enjoying the scooter.
Supporters of electric scooters say they provide an opportunity for cities to cut down on car traffic and make it easier for people to use public transit by taking them from a bus stop or train station to their final destination. San Diego City leaders earlier this year approved regulations for electric scooters that require companies to obtain permits and comply with new rules, such as ensuring that in the downtown area, the scooters are only parked in certain designated corrals. Although Borelli and Heidkel aren't amassing a fortune from their startup, they are getting love from the residents of San Diego.
We have people running up and congratulating us. We have people giving us Starbucks coffee cards.
This guy got a kiss yesterday.
And I got a kiss the other day.
They had a lady come up and give him a kiss on the forehead and say thank you for his service.
Judith Anna Fuente, UNTV News and Rescue.
Indian doctors extract over 500 teeth from a 7-year-old's mouth. A 7-year-old boy with an unusual medical condition had 526 teeth removed from his mouth. The boy had been complaining of swelling on the right side of his lower jaw since the age of 3. Medical investigation by surgeons revealed the presence of a large growth containing multiple hard structures within the jaw. Doctors said that this is a unique medical case and a first of its kind. The rare lesion with teeth has been confirmed as a compound composite odontoma. In a similar case from 2014, 232 teeth were removed from a mouth of a Mumbai teen. An 8-year-old Austin girl with a congenital amputation receives a new bionic arm that would not be out of place on a superhero like Iron Man. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
8-year-old Maddie Gardner from Austin, Texas, made a fist bump using her left hand for the first time. This is thanks to her new bionic arm in bright pink. Maddie was born with a congenital amputation, missing the lower half of her left arm. But she never let that hold her back.
My favorite thing was to make a heart out of 2 hands.
She'll be able to blend in more, and that might sound a little strange, but as a parent, sometimes seeing the attention and the questions, the continuous questions, some days she just doesn't want the questions, and this will be a way for her to have a bit more anonymity and just do things in a different way. So we're super excited about that.
Developed by British company Open Bionics, which recently launched in the US. The Hero Arm is billed as the world's first multi-grip 3D printed bionic arm for children as young as 8 years old. The prosthesis is lightweight and responds to electrical signals in the muscles of the affected arm. Maddie quickly got to grips with the device and learned how to switch between grips to hold a baseball and wave, as well as doing other simple things that she's never been able to do before with just one natural hand.
I look forward to ride my bike and golf with my dad.
Mindy Gardner said that although she never worried about her daughter, there are certain things with which Maddie has had difficulty. Her new bionic arm will not only help her perform more dexterous tasks, but will also give Maddie a semblance of anonymity.
So if she never had a prosthetic arm in her lifetime, I would not be worried about her at all because she's super awesome. But, you know, do I wish she had an arm so that she didn't have any challenges? Yes. But it's made a tremendous difference in her life.
Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news this August 1st, 2019. On behalf of Alex Baltazar and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo, and before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
I was worried kasi nga masyadong maraming may influx na magtataka ka, ba't kakapasok sila?
It seems na meron talagang mafia-like group inside PhilHealth na nagmamanipula ng pondo.
They can call the armed forces to quell lawless violence. They can declare martial law.
Unang-una, yung kapatid ko ay hindi naman nabigyan ng franchise. Kahit anong franchise, at makikita yan sa mga documents na sinubmit itong Lucky 6 At saka hindi Lucky 6 yan eh. Alam mo, Stulpo, mahilig mag-imagine yan eh. Lucky 5 yun.
All those enforcement agency, pag hindi nyo na-clear ng drugs ang Paseco, then there is no business for you to come here in the next council meeting. I'm giving you 1 week.
Dapat gayahin natin yung grupo ni Brother Eli. Dapat ganyan ang mga organization natin. Kasi kung isa-isa lang, kunti lang yan. Dapat may group talaga na mag-advocate ng blood donation, voluntary.